you were tweeting about your own personal struggles health wise, and I was like, you overcame what
Yeah,
happened? What did?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I
So
was, and we're gonna talk a little bit later with someone about love and loving yourself and relationships, and we also have Dr. Chris T. Purnell is on today. She's from Jersey. She's a doctor from New Jersey who was in the Moderna clinical trial, and she promised to come back to give us updates about the vaccine. As we, I've been holding off really talking about it until we talk to an expert. But health. This is Wellness Wednesday, and I thought it would be really poignant for you to share what you shared publicly. So I'm not dragging you into
yeah,
something.
no, I appreciate it. I hadn't talked about it in a while, but it's definitely not a secret. So February of what's this, 21? The pandemic time is all kind of goes together in my head. February of 19, I had a heart attack, and I had a heart attack after, gosh, probably 4 or 5 years of really over drinking the hard stuff, right? And so I worked at an alcohol company for a long time, and that's kind of where I became a lobbyist and such. But that just opened the door to more alcohol consumption, and I was really over drinking and particularly hard liquors and stuff like that.
So when
Uh,
you say over drinking, give us like
so I
an
was a
example of
social.
what that.
So Washington D.C. The currency of the city is the reception, right? And you go out, you have a drink at a reception, and then you follow your friends to another reception that you didn't know about, and you have 2 or 3 drinks there. And then my kids, it's already too late, so I'm gonna just go ahead and have dinner while I'm out, right? I don't want to interrupt their bedtime. And so you end up doing 10, 11, 12 drinks a night. And then, that's, yeah, I mean, but if you
And
started,
what are we doing? We doing wine, champagne? What?
all the above, and it doesn't hit you until the end of the night, or maybe not at all, because you're pacing it over the course of the night. But
Building
you
up a
realize,
tolerance.
yeah, you build up a tolerance, but that doesn't make it healthy, right? And you eventually just become a social functioning alcoholic. And so I was taking in a lot of alcohol, and then I got divorced, and so I had my kids. The one thing that was non-negotiable for me was that I wanted my kids full time. I wouldn't settle for anything less than 50-50. So the times I didn't have my kids, I could have been in my apartment writing the great American novel or philosophizing and growing a beard, but I wasn't. I was filling up that gap of space with being out. And, now I got to go hard and, build a business. And that's fueled by alcohol. And a lot of times I was at home just drinking by myself and, just trying to fill that void instead of talking to somebody and dealing with real issues. And, I was single, so I had any single man's destructive eating habits. I wasn't learning to cook healthy and build holistic health habits for myself. I was working out, but you can't outwork a bad diet and layering that with hard liquor and alcohol. So in 19, I had a heart attack, and it was
Take us to that moment. Where
yeah.
were you? What was happening?
So this is very important. I'm glad you asked. So I had watched a report on MSNBC, and there was a brother named Tremaine, and he's a reporter on. I know you don't want me advertising other networks, but
That's
the
okay.
brother.
No, you can. You absolutely can.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
thank you. But Brother Tremaine had a heart attack, and he was describing what it had felt like in vivid detail. And I'm glad they had that segment, because I watched the segment on a Sunday, and then Tuesday I was at home kind of by myself, and I put my kids to bed. And I just felt like I had worked out, like pulled a muscle in my chest or something. And I sat down, maybe I didn't need to sit down for a second. Sat down, laid down, and I felt like while I was laying down, I felt like I had a ball kind of inflating in my chest, right? And it was probably 10 p.m. at night, and my 2 sons were asleep. And I said, you know what? Because I had seen that report 2 days earlier, I thought that there might have been a problem. Maybe I was just a little bit paranoid, but I'm glad I was. And had it been the afternoon, or even had it been the morning, or even had my sons not been there, I probably would have just gone to sleep. But I didn't want them to wake up and find me. So
Mm.
I called a friend and said, hey, come watch the boys. If I'm not home by the morning, take them to school. And she was great. She did that. And I got in an Uber. I didn't call an ambulance or anything. I got in an Uber. As soon as I got in the Uber, I kind of like laid down and broke out into a sweat. I said, hey, man, I don't want you to get a ticket or anything, but I think I'm having a heart attack. So get on to the hospital. And he was like, yeah, Joe, I got you. And you know, I said, my name's not Joe, but just get to the hospital. So he steps on it. He gets to the hospital, and as soon as we got in, you know, they intake and they do the normal stuff. And within 2 minutes, they were like, "Yo, Mr. Calloway, it's going down," and they had me all strapped up. I mean, you know, but it was kind of an interesting lesson in healthcare and healthcare delivery as well, because as soon as I got in there, and I gave them the insurance card, and I was looking preppy as usual, I was surrounded within 10 minutes of arriving in the hospital. I was surrounded by GW Hospital's best and brightest, right? Fresh-faced surgeons with the old school veterans. And you could just tell they brought out the A team, and I felt really special. But a couple days later, I had to reflect and say, man, I wish they treated everybody like this, right? And maybe they do at GW, but I wish that every American had this level of access to just the best of the best in terms of healthcare. And so, longer story short, you know, just those years, and it didn't take that long, but 5 or 6 years of destructive eating habits plus alcohol led to this. And I really had to make some decisions once they cleared out the blockage. Everything was fine. I was home in a couple of days, but I really just had to make some decisions about holistic health. And in doing so, you know, I think the tweet you saw was that I met a wonderful young lady, now my wife, who is a dynamic soul. Best person I know, happens to be the prettiest girl I've ever seen. So I looked up, and you know, she gets me eating right and taking care of myself, and you know, life is pretty good. But I was 30, I'm 41, I was 39 at the time. So you're never too young for this to happen, particularly guys. And you just really got to be on top of that. And I'm gonna tell you that alcohol gets you, even if you don't feel drunk, even if you don't feel like you're an alcoholic, even if you don't feel like it's having a derogatory health effect, you can't see what's happening on the inside. And that hard liquor is harsh on the body. I don't totally abstain now. I do it every now and then, but it's harsh on the body, and brothers should know that.
We know about the cheeseburgers and the French fries and the grease and the oil and clogging the arteries, you know, but when you think about alcohol, you don't think about the alcohol clogging the arteries. I get the fat clogging the arteries. How does the alcohol get in there to constrict your vessels, to give you vascular you know, blockages that would lead to what happened to you?
That's a good question. So alcohol doesn't cause cholesterol blockages, but it does generally cause stress, right? And it generally just kind of weakens the body. And I'm not gonna front like I'm a, you know, medical doctor, because I'm not. But it was the really, really, really bad eating habits plus the hard liquor. You know, the liquor causes arteriosclerosis, the hardening of the arteries, right? Not a blockage, but
not
the
a blockage
of, and it makes them less pliable, it makes them less malleable and able to ride with the movements of the day. And you know, whether or not you feel it one day, it has this effect over time, and it's just really it's really rough on the body. I'm sorry, I know somebody's out there who works for, you know, Diageo or something, and you might get a letter on this, but I'm saying I was overdoing.
Don't send me no letter. Don't send me a letter.
I don't want to use you any sponsors, but I was definitely overdoing it, and I warn anybody not to do that, you know.